So, hello and welcome back. Welcome to another episode of The Wisdom of Loving. And if you're one of the few people who has not seen this little conversation show, let me tell you just a few things about G100. So G100 is actually a group of women, generally speaking, women leaders from across the world. And those women then lead what is called a wing or an area of expertise. Again, led by women from all over the world. It's truly a global movement. Now, don't worry, we also have men. We have men as advisors, we have men interacting with us, so we're inclusive in that sense. Now, the young lady that you see on the other side of the screen, so to speak, I happen to know her from a wing that is called the Oneness and Wisdom Wing. And this wing is actually led by a maverick. Jennifer Randiv is the global chair for the Oneness and Wisdom Wing. I happen to be the chair for Germany. And then we have this lovely lady across from us, from me at least, and maybe on this side when you're looking at it. And she is actually on the other side of the world right now. And her name is Tanya Mattox, as you can also see in her little indication. And her and I, we are both country chairs. She'll tell you which country she represents in a moment. And therefore, we know each other through collaboration. So first of all, welcome, Tanya.
Thank you so much, Natalie.
Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Because you know I never like to introduce people. It's so much better when they talk about themselves a little bit. Who are you? Where are you? Why are you?
Thank you, Natalie. I'm Tanya Mattox. I am a wife, a mother, a grandmother. I enjoy life coaching, talking with women about what matters most to them. I think that's very important. I'm also the USA Country Chair for G100 Oneness and Wisdom, as you mentioned. And that was very exciting to me because I would be involved with women and supporting women. And it's a positive group of women. And that's something I thrive on. I work in a surgical office 4 days a week, and I enjoyed that. I had a passion for medical terminology and procedures and all that. But the nursing part of it, not so much because I couldn't handle the death and dying.
Yeah.
So I like being in the position I'm in because of what I learn and the people I interact with, and I'm able to offer encouragement to them. So that's my life in a nutshell.
Well, there's a lot more to uncover there, but I'll take it for now. So you are in charge of a big country. You know, Germany's relatively small compared to the United States. And this show is called The Wisdom of Loving. And it's just a conversation, as you know. However, when it comes to the title, The Wisdom of Loving, what comes to your mind when you hear that title or those words? Is there anything that comes to your mind?
Actually, Natalie, very good question. Wonderful to contemplate. What comes to my mind is the words, the wisdom of loving, because I don't think we generally think of loving in that particular sense. However, if we do, it takes us down a deeper path, which can lead to more peace in the world. If you look at loving, and that a recent dictionary definition I saw is the genuine self-giving, the active self-giving love, and self-giving well-being, concern for the well-being of others. So that's why I begin to think about the respect aspect and the peace aspect and the giving of it. I participate in a global peace partner movement with the Tap Into You organization headed by Dr. Anita Caprice. And once a month, we concentrate on peace for 6 minutes. And I do believe that it is having an impact.
course.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
And so just if we think about the wisdom of loving and take more of the amorous, mushy gushy feel out of it, which
Yeah.
that's me all day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
Same.
mushy gushy family person.
Mm-hmm.
And but if we really look at it from a wider perspective, there really is wisdom in loving because of what can come out of that offering to another human being.
I love it. And it's interesting that you very quickly went to the word peace, because initially I was going to call the show The Wisdom of Peace. And then,
Mm,
I was talking with our dear Jennifer, and we were
yes.
like, something doesn't quite match 100%. And we said, she actually said, not we, she said, maybe an action word. And that's how we came up with loving. And,
Yeah.
like you said, loving in action. And on the note of peace, I think it's been proven if a group of people, small or big, come together and contemplate, think, meditate, pray on peace, there is an energetic shift. So absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So loving,
Yes.
how how can we love in
Mm,
today's world where there's a lot of back and forth and yelling at each other, screaming at each other, there's wars going on. How can we be loving to each other? How can we find that wisdom so that then we can create peace?
mm.
I'm trying to put your words sort of together.
Yes. I I was invited to participate in, I think it was a Bible study, if you
Mm-hmm.
will. It
Okay.
was interactive, it was virtual,
Yeah.
and it was on a book called Unoffendable.
Okay.
It led to some very interesting thoughts. And I said, that is a wonderful place to begin.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't immediately take offense to everything that you're confronted with
Yeah.
or that you see, if you're unoffendable,
Mm-hmm.
if you decide that this is another human being like myself,
Mm-hmm.
all want the same respect, consideration, concern. If I address the situation with that thought in mind, I can diffuse a potentially ugly situation. So if we
Mm-hmm.
just kind of step back, and something I read, and it's been with me for a while now, and I really like it, is the reaction or the words or confrontation that I
Mm-hmm.
get from someone else often has nothing to do with me.
Yes. So
It can
true.
be
So
the
true.
result of what happened before I encountered them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So don't take offense.
Mm-hmm.
Know that there's something else behind that.
That's a journey though, isn't it? I
It is.
mean, because let's say you're driving on the street, especially in the United States, and somebody cuts you off, especially
Yeah.
in a city, then what is the automated reaction, right? That is
Mhm.
starting to yell, scream, all of that good stuff. So how do you get, or what is your experience? I have mine, but what is your experience in getting to not reacting, but taking that breath and saying, whoa, I wonder what happened with that person. How did you get there? I don't think it's just the participation in the study group.
No, not at all. And I'm glad you mentioned the fact that it is a process
Mm-hmm.
because I do confront that every day on the way to
Okay,
work.
good.
People driving in the lane that I ride the route all the time. So I
Mm-hmm.
know it's not a lane that goes on forever. It cuts off in less than a quarter mile ahead of me. And you want to cut me off. And often I go, okay, go ahead. Apparently, you are really in a hurry,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to stress about this. But
Mm-hmm.
it's been a process to get to that. One thing about that particular place, I remember when I had driven in that lane. I wasn't
Yeah.
familiar with the route
Mm-hmm.
and I had to quickly get over. And the other driver was not happy.
Yeah.
So my experience actually informed me and helps me bring it down a peg. But it
Mm-hmm.
is a process. You have to get to that. And knowing yourself, I think,
Mm-hmm.
really helps.
So I can remember plenty of lanes like that. And and even now in Germany. And it is a process. There are days when I'm very good at it.
Yeah,
And there are days when I'm looking at the license plate and I
yeah.
go, oh no, you're from here. I saw you yesterday. What are you
Right,
doing? Now, I
right.
won't say that I'll freak out or anything, but there is a little bit of a difference between a tourist and somebody who drives that every day, isn't there?
True,
Okay.
true,
So do you
absolutely.
still get triggered by it, or are you like 100%
And no, I still get triggered by it.
good? I'm not alone.
Yeah. No, you're not alone.
Good. Um,
I'm still
yeah.
triggered by it.
And but it is, it is then taking the breath or whatever we do to calm ourselves down. And I used to teach that type actually to security agents because I think
Mm,
that's really important when they're stressed.
right.
Or when we're stressed, whatever happened before. Um,
Hmm.
Now, when you were talking, you also mentioned this, it's just another human being. It's just another person. And we're both in the oneness and wisdom wing.
Yeah.
So do you see all of us as one, just little segments of one, or how does that fit when you're saying, well, it's just another human being just like me?
No, when I look at it, and all of us,
Mm-hmm.
and all of us are country chairs, knowing that you have your own individual situations in
Mm-hmm.
your country.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I'm interested in and maybe challenged by,
Mm-hmm.
other sisters have no idea
True.
what I'm talking about or
Yeah.
why that matters.
Mm-hmm.
So, working in our organization like that, and anytime there's a collaboration,
Mm-hmm.
it's very important for me to make sure I'm listening and then ask questions. Definitely ask questions because my other sister's experience is completely different from mine. Whatever's going on in their part of the world and in their community that's more close to them, their intimate community,
Mm-hmm.
it might have something particular going on that I know nothing about that I need to listen for,
Mm-hmm.
give grace to, or see if there's something I can think of that will assist.
I mean, that almost sounds like a huge part of being wise already, a piece of wisdom. So do
Right.
you think, or do you feel that everybody can achieve the wisdom to not overreact, but to see the other person as another human being with their own problems, to not be offended? Do you think we can all reach that, or are some of us more hindered to achieve that?
The potential is there for all of us to achieve it. But like
Okay.
you said, some of us are more hindered to
Uh-huh.
do. It could have to do with their upbringing, what their environment was like, and what their experiences have been out there in the world,
Mhm.
how they handle that.
Mhm.
I have to check things sometime, especially in dealing with um, a male counterpart in a business situation. I have to check different things within myself because I was reared in an environment where my mom was a victim of spouse abuse.
Oh, yeah.
So I have adverse childhood
Mhm.
experiences.
Mhm.
So there are things that will trigger me, and I have to be aware of that. Why are you responding to a person like that?
Right.
And then I will have to ask a question. What did you mean by that?
Uh-huh.
And get more information so I can make the necessary correction.
Yeah. You mentioned everybody you believe has the potential, and some
Yes.
of us are more hindered than others. Do you think it's also a choice?
Hmm. I would have to say yes,
Okay.
in light
Okay.
of
Yeah.
what my world experience is being here in the States.
Mm-hmm.
And we have, I won't say a highly charged political
Oh yeah.
environment,
I think you can
but
say that. Yes.
okay. All right. And so you know exactly what I'm
Yeah.
speaking of.
Yeah.
And there are things that I've had to not confront, but just that I've witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone has the capacity, but not everyone is willing to lean into it. They're comfortable or more tied to their own narrative, their own
Mm-hmm.
perspective.
Right. Right.
And I think that all has to do with what you learn or what you're exposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, the desire to look at things differently or to seek that knowledge so that you can participate in the world differently.
True. Yeah, because it is that comfort level, right?
Yes.
A lot of people complain, they don't look at the other side, of it. They don't try to make a change happen because it's their comfort zone. It may not be good in a
Mm,
sense, but it is what they know, so that they
right.
don't want to step out of it. And I think we all have some things that we do that are comfortable until
Mhm.
we learn, get some insight, and maybe become a little wiser in that sense. Yeah.
Right.
So if you're thinking about the wisdom of loving the way that you've explained it so far, or the way that you understand it, do you
Mhm.
have any advice for anybody who listens to this, who sees that? Do you have any advice for those people on how to implement this, should they choose to do so?
Mhm. One thing that it's uppermost, is top of mind for me
Mhm.
because it's recent. And that's the information I've received in human rights
Mm.
training.
Oh, yes. Mhm.
So, in looking at that and remembering those particular lessons, if I made the statement, just another human being, but if you
Mhm.
realize that all of us as humans, we have rights just because we're humans.
Mhm.
And you have the right to expect that I and no one else will harm you. And you should not fear that.
Mhm.
And I have the same thing. We
Mhm.
all have that right. So if you can get information about what those inalienable or what those human rights are,
Yeah.
just because you you exist. Well, because, not just because, but because you exist,
Mhm.
you're worthy. And everyone is. And if
Mhm.
you can tune into that or just take a peek at it, that can begin to help with change or with being more open
Mhm.
to that change.
Mm. But not everybody has got training in human rights.
True.
So, I'm a historian by trade, and
Okay.
one of my areas was African American history, Native American history, and of course the German history. We've learned that inside out. So there's a
Yes.
lot of human rights and lack of human rights, and then
Mhm.
amplifying that across the world. So I think some of us have learned more than others. So if you haven't had any training in human rights, if you go to work every day, you are what is considered a good citizen.
Mhm.
Any advice there? What we can do to see the other person as another person that has those rights to not fear us?
Mm. I continue to lean into the thought of being unoffendable.
Yeah.
Having the first thought as you're not trying to harm me,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to what are you, what are you, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not having that response. I
Mm-hmm.
think that small tweak might help
Mm-hmm.
to have a more fluid or an easier start or easier interaction within a potentially stressful or antagonistic situation. Just to
Like
take a
the,
step, just to take a
yeah.
step back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's key, isn't it?
Yes,
I think that's the difference also between reacting and responding, right?
yes,
Reacting is automatic, and response, you take a breath and you say, whoa,
right.
what's going on here? You know?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. I want to know more about that book. It sounds very interesting, unoffendable. I
Yes.
like that. Yeah. But for right now, Tanya, I want to thank you for your time. This is
Thank
a
you.
wonderful conversation. As I said, I want to know more about the book, and I know there are more things that we could talk about. But as you said before, you are the country chair for the United States of America. And if
Yes.
anybody wants to get in touch with you, they can find you on the G100 website under USA. What's
Yeah.
another good way to get in touch with you if anybody has any further questions?
Another way to get in touch with me would be on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
I'm in focus coach. That's
Mhm.
INFOCUS
Mhm.
coach. Well, actually, it's Tanya Mattox, but I
Yeah.
think my name will come up
Okay.
instead of my business name.
Yeah.
So you can look for me at TANYAMATTOX on
Okay.
LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, if you're
Mhm.
there. Not so much into TikTok.
Me neither. Me neither.
No.
Sometimes I think I'm too old, but then again, who knows?
No, believe me, you are not.
So thank you. I'll also put the information underneath. And thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Very
Thank
insightful.
you. Thank you
And
so
I know we'll
much.
talk again soon. Thank
Yes,
you.
we will. Have a good day or
Bye.
evening. Bye-bye.